I'm here, I'm Hils Jago. I founded Amused Comedy, and I'm here with Stephen Buchanan, whose first Edinburgh Fringe show, which is called Baby Dove, is on at Pleasance in the Courtyard this year. This is 2019. I'm here really to talk to you and ask you about that show because it's your first show. You're in one of the main venues, and that's because you won the BBC New Comedy Award last year, I understand.
That's right.
Do you think that was a good move, going straight into one of the major venues, or have you actually, have you done the Fringe as a double act thing?
Yeah, I've done the Fringe before as a sort of split bill with a couple of times. And last year I done a 40-minute show, so this is my debut hour. So I've been here before.
So you know the ropes.
And I know the ropes. Yeah.
That's good. And so where did the idea of Baby Dove come from? What was how was it start? How did you start it? Had it been something in your head for a while, or did just the idea? And why is it called Baby Dove?
So the show is about, like, as you were talking about the New Comedy Award last year, my set was about me living with my mum and a Vietnamese refugee. That's what the full show's about now. I'll go into a lot more detail about it. And his nickname in it is Dove, so that's where the title comes from. And there's a story that links to the name in the show, which people would get if they
pick up on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of shows at the Fringe this year that say at the very beginning, oh, we have to choose our show title in January, and I couldn't even find a way of crowbarring any material in about it by the time I'd written the show and got it ready for the Fringe. So it's good that you've managed to hang on to the thing that was starting you off, and that it is so fundamentally important to it.
Yeah, it's quite important to the full show. It's that part of it is at the end of the show as well. So I made
it's a running theme, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the theme throughout is about the Dove, who is the refugee, and at the end there's a thing that ties it all together.
Yeah, which they worked very well.
Thank you.
And a lot of the shows as well have done sort of quite a high energy show, maybe nothing to do with what the title was, and then in the end they throw in a couple of minutes about some awful disaster that's happened in their life. And the show, which is a comedy show, ends on a downbeat, and then they go out of the room into the wide world with all the audience with long faces. And I always think you should finish a comedy show with everyone with a big smile on their face. So as they walk out of the room into the courtyard, in your case, Pleasance Courtyard, people who are sitting there go, oh wow, that must be a great show. They're all laughing as they come out of the door. It's a really good, I think it's something really important to focus on.
Definitely.
Free PR, isn't it, for heaven's sake? Free promo.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right, I've got a question for you. Something really quite interesting. Having seen the show, what audience responses are you getting? Because it's quite a nice, calm show in some ways.
It's a calm show in some ways. It's also the subject matter can be a bit heavy as well because it's about refugees and stuff. So people can react in different ways. There's a lot of good response, a lot of weirder response as well. Last night I had an audience member, and who I was talking about my girlfriend studying law. And he was sitting in the front row, he was heckling a bit throughout the show, and he just pulled up his trouser leg and he had a tag on it from jail or whatever. He was like, can she help me out? And done this, and I was like, I didn't want to ask what he'd done because yeah, exactly. If it was something serious that could have derailed the whole show, and I was just like, oh, what time is your curfew? Yes. He was like, it doesn't matter, I'm enjoying the show, so
that's not well, he may need your girlfriend in that case and he's out after hours. Good, that's lovely. So and also it'd be interesting to know what industry, comedy, it'd be interesting to know what comedy industry people, say producers and directors and venues, theatres, because obviously you're now looking to progress your career, I guess, to sort of doing maybe a little mini tour of some kind. So it's interesting to know what feedback you're getting and whether you've had interest in doing shows at solo theatre or places like that.
I'd love to, yeah. Obviously I'm in the final of the award and
that will help,
that would help with it. So I'd love to do the solo theatre at some point and tour the show more after the Fringe. Maybe do a tour of Britain or something like that.
Because of course the show, you could carry on doing the show even after next year's Fringe. But by next year you'll have another show. I assume you're going to come back next year?
Yeah, definitely. That's my plan anyway.
Any thoughts about yet what it's likely to be about?
No, I don't have a clue. I've not even
thought that far.
Yeah, I've not thought that far ahead yet. I'm just focusing on the end of this Fringe.
Yeah. And how are you? How? I mean, we're on the last Wednesday, so there's probably 4 or 5 more days. You've got some extra shows, I think you're doing, aren't you?
Yeah, I've got 2 extra shows on Friday and Saturday,
which is really good because that signals to comedy industry people that you know that your tickets are selling well, and also, I mean, obviously from an audience perspective, it's great, but industry is always looking out for little clues about what's buzzing, what's not, and so on. I mean, you're in a relatively small room, but even so, for a first solo show at the Fringe, that's really, really good.
Yeah, there's been quite a because I've had every day sold out so far throughout the run.
Right, it's brilliant.
To do 2
You'll get home with money, maybe.
Probably not.
Maybe you will. Do you actually live in Edinburgh?
No, I live in Glasgow.
So are you commuting over, or are you just managing?
I've got a place here for the month, but I've been going back to Glasgow a couple of times, so it just depends.
So you've got some expense every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you're not, if you lived in Edinburgh, it'd be free, of course.
Exactly.
But so few people do. Right, another question about your show, Baby Dove, at the Pleasance. Does your show attract, because of its content or how it's promoted, does it attract an international audience, or is there a particular type of audience that you're aware of in comparison to what you would get in a comedy club, say?
There's been a real mix at the Fringe so far. The Pleasance has its own sort of audience that go there, and you get quite a lot of that, but also I think because I'm Scottish, at the Fringe there's like a lot of, it's almost as if locals want to support their own people, so I get a lot of Scottish people in, which is nice in a way, but I would say less than, I wouldn't say there's as many like international people as maybe other shows around the Fringe there would be. I think there's quite a large Scottish proportion.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, I've spotted that when you go to a show that's, let's say, the Scottish comedian who's on the circuit, they do have their followers.
Yeah.
So it's really quite important in your 40 words, in your case, or whoever's, to actually say, you know, Glaswegian or Scottish or whatever it might be.
I think that in as well.
Definitely puts bums on seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. If you were starting out now in January thinking about your show, what all the way through would you have changed? What would you do differently now? Because I think this is really useful for someone else doing their first solo show in what is considered a major venue.
There's not a lot that I would do differently. I don't think I'm quite happy with the show. I'm quite proud of it. I would say I would like to have started a bit earlier to really delve into it more, because I think like it started after last year's Fringe, and then I went to Australia at the start of the year, and I had about 2 months of gigging there, but I wasn't really working on the show, so I wish that I had that 2 months to really focus on it as well, especially because it was the start of this year, and the Fringe was round the corner. It was quite an important.
It might have been an interesting experience. Were you doing your stand-up? Were you talking about the refugee at all? Because of course they've got Vietnamese refugee situations over there, and they're very different, of course.
Yeah, well, I was talking about it a bit over there, and the response was a bit more muted.
Yes.
Because it's quite a sensitive
controversial
subject.
Yes, controversial.
In Australia,
So yeah, probably gave you some leads, but nevertheless probably didn't give you the feedback that you would need it to make it work on the Fringe, which is interesting, of course, if you were to go to Australia with the show, how you're going to do that. Okay, that's lovely. Thanks very much, Stephen. Stephen Buchanan, Amused Comedy Award finalist. Fingers crossed for you, Stephen. The same as it is for the others, because I have to be completely partisan about this, but I wish you well with it. I think you're the only one who's doing, only finalist really, who's doing their really first solo show, whether it's on the Fringe or anywhere else. So, and I've noticed that the others are quite exuberant and in there, and you're the one sort of watching to see how it all works. And that's really interesting, seeing that. And I just go, okay, I wonder if that's his personality or he's just being very astute. Because I do remember when Chris Evans, nothing to do with comedy, but when Chris Evans was learning about a radio production at Greater Manchester Radio or whatever, apparently he was a mouse for 2 years. just watching and learning absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So maybe you're doing the same thing, and who knows, maybe you'll be have your own version of Big Breakfast one day. You never know. Stuff can happen. It really can. Anyway, thank you very much
Thank
indeed,
you.
and lovely to talk to you.
You too.
Okay. Thanks.